Totally a first world problem to have. I get it. But I got to come up with a better name for the Twitch channel. Something catchy, something snappy. I don't know. We're going to try and figure it out. We got a great show for you on tap tonight. I don't know how, but I managed to kind of pull it all together. We will talk with Brian Kenny later in this hour, hosts MLB Now on MLB Network. Get some thoughts with him on the postseason awards. Justin Verlander trying to put into perspective, at the age of 39, winning a Cy Young Award, a 1.75 ERA, 18-4. Does he have a shot for 300 wins? We'll get into all of it with Brian Kenny. We'll also talk some free agency with him. And we'll also be joined in the next hour by Jason Cole from Outkick.com. Get some NFL thoughts in with him during this show, too. I got to get into the NBA live betting because we got a great game tonight to kind of sink our teeth into as it relates to the live betting stuff. So we'll do that coming up here in just a few minutes with the Warriors and the Suns. Tasty. I mean, that is a tasty hump day game. Wednesday night, Warriors, Suns, potential, Western Conference Finals preview. Who knows? It's going to be fun. We'll do some live betting on that tonight on the show. Give you some live betting advice. We actually didn't give a pick last night. I was neglectful in that regard. But when we return, I want to get into the Eagles. And it isn't the loss to the Commanders that concerns me. I'll tell you what does, though, when we continue with the cash-in. Just getting started on a Wednesday on SportsMap Radio. Yeah. Meow. Yeah, I've only had Okay, so the phone number. I always forget to give it out, and they yell at me for not giving out the phone number. So 1-800-224-2004 is the phone number. 800-224-2004 if you want to weigh in on anything we're talking about throughout the show. You can tweet at me as well at The Back Page. Again, on Twitter, at The Back Page. And again, you can watch the show as well as listen to it on SportsMap Radio. You can watch it on Twitch at twitch.tv/Jason Page 77. Coming up in 25 minutes, we'll be joined by Brian Kenny. He does a great job on MLB Network, the host of MLB Now. I was watching him earlier today as they were getting ready for the Cy Young Award announcements. Justin Verlander, your winner in the American League. Sandy Alcantara, the winner in the National League. And, you know, I'm curious to get his thoughts on the Justin Verlander Cy Young Award win and whether or not he's got a shot to get to 300 wins. I think he's at like 244 right now for career wins. So I want to talk to him about that and where Justin Verlander lands in this offseason because he is a free agent. So we'll get into all of that, the Aaron Judge stuff. Maybe I'll get in a Buck Showalter question as well with him winning Manager of the Year. We talked about that on the show last night. Is he a Hall of Famer? Hasn't won a World Series, but 4 Manager of the Year awards with 4 different teams. It's hard to argue that isn't Hall of Fame worthy, but I want to get Brian Kenny's thoughts on that as well. Maybe I'll even get in a Bryce Harper question too because there was some big news involving him. But I want to start with the Philadelphia Eagles, who got their butts handed to them, suffered their first loss on Monday night against the Washington Commanders. And look, the NFC East is the best division in football. I know people will point to the AFC East and talk about it. I think the Jets are a paper tiger. I'm still not buying into them. I know they beat the Bills. Everybody calm down. They have the same record as the Bills. If I gave you a suitcase of John Belmer's money and said on a neutral field or in the postseason, Jets or Bills, who's going to win? You know you're not picking the Jets. So let's just stop there. Regular season, great. It's a nice win. Salah's got the organization moving in the right direction. That's all wonderful. But you know and I know, when push comes to shove, Jets still aren't for real. It is amazing they're undefeated on the road this year, though. There's something to be said for that, and they are very good defensively. I don't buy into them as having enough offense to win when it comes time for big games or if they make it to the postseason. We'll wait and see. Look, the Patriots are pulling up the rear at 5-4 in the AFC East, which tells you how strong that division is. Still, I'll go with the NFC East as the best division in football. All that notwithstanding, the Eagles get their first loss. They're 8-1. And I'm not as interested in going back and looking back at the loss against the Commanders because I think there had been signs throughout even the 8 wins that they had this season. And as much as everybody wanted to start getting excited about the prospect halfway through the season of them potentially winning an NBA, going undefeated in the NFL, as much as people wanted to think about that, anybody in their right mind knew that wasn't going to happen. This team isn't that good. They were never inevitable. They're not the Patriots from 15 years ago or whatever. It's just this team isn't that kind of good. And I think most people would agree they're not even probably as good as Buffalo or Kansas City, regardless of what the records of those two teams might be. But again, take that, put it aside. They lose to the Commanders. They struggle in the second half. You got a taste of where you might be able to go after this team. But take one game and put it aside. Because to me, it isn't about what they did against the Commanders or didn't do against the Commanders. To me, what I want to see now is how they respond off of that game on the road in Indianapolis against a Colts team that is more emotionally charged, given the fact that they finally got, an important win, something to maybe right the ship. The Titans are dealing with some injuries right now, and Indianapolis might think, hey, we got Matt Ryan. We got that fixed. Maybe we can actually still make a run in the AFC South. And this is going to be an interesting situation to see how the Eagles respond coming off of a loss. How this group sort of regroups in a hostile environment against a Colts team that's trying to figure it out. They rallied around this head coach, Jeff Saturday, in the interim. Matt Ryan, picks himself off, dusts himself off after being benched, basically deactivated by Frank Reich, comes back, plays well enough for them to get a win this week against a hapless Raiders organization that we'll talk about later in the show. And how does Jalen Hurts respond off a little bit of adversity? This loss against the Commanders, where Washington, who is one of the best, they're a top-notch defense. And they found the secret sauce to stopping, this Philadelphia team. I mean, Jalen Hurts only ran it for 28 yards. He only threw it for 175. His numbers were pedestrian. I mean, as a team, you look at the offensive numbers that Philadelphia put up in that game at home against a Commanders team that came in at 4-5. So now, how do you respond to the adversity? Your first bit of adversity this year. And I don't have a prediction for you. I'm not here to give you one. We'll save that for Friday, maybe with Paige's picks, and we'll go through the full list of NFL Week 11 lines coming up a little later on in the show tonight, as we always do on Wednesdays. But I've never been buying into the idea of the Eagles as some, well, they're going to win the Super Bowl. I don't even think they get out of the NFC. I don't even think they're the best team in the NFC. And I've talked about this ad nauseum. And I know we've made this argument with a lot of teams this year, and you play who's on your schedule. But, other than the Vikings in week 2, which is still early in the season, where am I supposed to be impressed about who the Eagles have beaten through the first 10 weeks of the football season? They've beaten the Texans, who might have the top pick in the draft. They've beaten the Steelers, who might have one of the top 3 picks in the draft. They beat the Cowboys with Cooper Rush at quarterback. They beat a Cardinals team that can't get out of its own way and may fire its head coach soon enough. A Jaguars team that's been disappointing. They beat the Commanders in week 3, then lost to them in week 10. They beat the Lions. I mean, I'm sorry, and they barely beat the Lions. The Lions gave that game away in week 1. Otherwise, we're not even having the conversation about this team being undefeated going into this past week against the Commanders. So I know, and not enough people want to talk about this because, we're just looking, I think people in the sports media, myself included sometimes, we're looking for stories. And wow, this Eagles team, undefeated, Jalen Hurts coming off the loss in the playoffs last year, and next season starts right now, and all of that stuff sounds great, and we're building a story around this. We're building the narrative around this. The Eagles, the new head coach and Nick Sirianni, and all of these wonderful things. But nobody really wanted to talk about the fact that they really hadn't beaten anybody outside of the Vikings in week 2. And that's early in the season. What was I supposed to be impressed with the Eagles? What, that Jalen Hurts was better than he was last year? Great, he's made progress. Is he as good as Josh Allen? No. Is he as good as Patrick Mahomes? No. Hell, I don't even know if. Well, I won't go too far. Is he better than Lamar Jackson? Is he even a top 7 or top 8 quarterback in the league? Is he in the top quarter of quarterbacks in the league? Is he in the top 25%? I don't even know if I could say that yet. I think he's good. I think he's better than he was last year. Do I think he's great? Do I think he's Super Bowl caliber? Do I think when push comes to shove, if he's got to go up against Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers in the playoffs? I don't know necessarily about the Cowboys. But even Tom Brady, if he's got to go up against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, who are maybe starting to put it together in the playoffs, who knows? And you could wind up with those two teams meeting up. Listen, it took me a while to get there with the Vikings. I'm finally there on the Vikings. I'm a buyer on the fact that they are a threat to come out of the NFC. I think almost everybody's a threat to come out of the NFC. Frankly, if you make the playoffs in the NFC, you're a threat to come out of the NFC. I'll even grant that to to Philadelphia. Some teams more than others, though. And I'm not there. Where I am with Dallas, where I am with San Francisco, where I am with Minnesota, I'm not there with Philadelphia yet, despite their record. Because I've never bought in to the idea that this team is Super Bowl caliber. Could they get on a run and get there in the postseason? I have to absolutely say yes. Because anybody who makes the playoffs out of the NFC, including the Giants, by the way, are capable. But I'm still not there yet with Philadelphia. I want to see how they respond this week on the road in Indianapolis, coming off the disappointing loss at home to the Commanders. And then the schedule gets a bit more interesting for them. We'll talk about that on the other side. We'll also get into the NBA live betting for the late games that are just underway out on the West Coast. Glad to have you with us on this Wednesday night. The Cash In. I'm Jason Page at SportsMap Radio. Dude, had him on for the whole second hour. Yeah, he was cool. Yeah, I enjoyed it. We roll along. To continue a conversation I was just having with John Belmer off the air, TV is so much easier than radio. Oh, my God. It's easy. Are you kidding? Who cares? Nobody's looking at you. You're looking at a camera. Oh, I can't speak for you. I can only speak for me. I'm a jerk. No, I mean, what if you're ugly? Well, if you're ugly, then you don't do TV. But I've done both. And I can honestly say, like, I've gone and hosted a 1 hour. Hosted an hour-long TV show. I've done, the talking head stuff on TV, and I've done some digital stuff for MSNBC over the years. TV is so easy. It's so easy compared to radio, compared to talk radio. Because look, I got to sit here I was talking about this with Craig Kilborn last night, and he's like, what I hated about TV was I had to fill an hour every day. And I'm literally sitting there to myself going, are you nuts? I had to fill 3 freaking hours every night. When I was at NBC Sports Radio, it was 5 hours in the middle of the night that I was doing 5 days a week, and then I was doing a 6th show every week for 3 hours a day. So I was doing 6 days a week, most days 4 to 5 hours live, and then another 3 hours. And it's, to me, I love the ultimate high wire act with no safety net below that is this show. If the show's great, it's because of me. If it sucks, it's because of me. But it's all on me at the end of the day. And I don't have, this huge team. Like, Dan Patrick's got 17 people working on his show. Pat McAfee's got a dozen people working on his show. Jim Rome's got all these people. I'm okay with having a small crew. I'm okay with just having a couple people because I don't need it. I can do it. So when I go and do TV, to me, I'm like, this is it? You guys should be wearing ski masks. You're robbing. I mean, the amount of money people make in TV, they're robbing from these companies. It's crazy. I think it's nuts. I'm sorry. I just do. Sorry, did I give you a promo? I may have. That wasn't my intent. I had no intention of even talking about it, but just thinking about the conversation with Craig last night, who I love. And he's like, filling an hour every day. Are you kidding me? Oh, my God. I have pregnant pauses that last that long. 1-800-224-2004. 800-224-2004. And on Twitter, you can hit me up if you want at the back page. All right, NBA live betting. 9 minutes from now, Brian Kenny on the show. Does a terrific job. MLB Network hosts MLB Now. My old buddy back from my NBC Sports Radio days. He does TV. He knows how easy it is. We'll talk with Brian coming up in about 9 minutes here on the show. NBA live betting, if you're into that sort of thing, and who isn't? We didn't do a game of the night last night. It was the first time we hadn't, and it was because we had the hour-long interview with Craig Kilborn in the second hour that I just decided not to do it. Games currently going on right now. You've got the Rockets and Mavericks. Hello to our friends, 97.1 The Freak in Dallas. They'll be joining us after that game ends. Dallas and Houston tied at 83. That game about 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Right now, if you're looking at it on the money line, it's Houston plus 126, Dallas minus 162. Rockets have played tough early this year. Houston plus 1.5 on the spread, and the total right now is 201.5. God, that's really low for an NBA game. Knicks and Nuggets, 25-25. Late in the first quarter, Knicks coming off a win on the road last night in Utah against a Jazz team that's been pretty good. Game of the night in the NBA, if not Milwaukee and Cleveland, who played a beauty earlier tonight, Warriors and Suns in Phoenix, Golden State just trying to get it together. Phoenix leading in that one, 26-20 over on ESPN, if you're into watching that sort of thing, and who, of course, wouldn't be. Golden State plus 108 right now, trailing 26-20 late first quarter. Golden State plus 108 on the money line. Phoenix minus 138. The total is projected to be 232.5. God, that's a lot of points. I was thinking about this the other day. You're always finding comparisons and matching things up. To me, the NBA is starting to become like baseball in that it's becoming an all or nothing game. In the NBA, in Major League Baseball, it's strikeout or, home run. So many teams. Batting average doesn't mean a thing. And to me, the NBA is kind of becoming that way in that you're losing, just as in baseball, you're losing the subtleties of the game and the things that pure baseball purists really love. And I know another term for baseball purists is old fuddy-duddies. But if you're an old-time baseball fan, if you're a real fan of the game and understand the game, you're missing things like the sacrifice bunt and stolen bases, and all of those things have gone away more and more over the years as it's just become a swing and miss sort of league, and you run into one and hit a home run. The triple and things like that, speed on the base paths. Now, I think some of that may come back in vogue with the rule changes coming into play next year, but only to a degree, because the analytics guys have decided that, it's okay if you hit 225 as long as you hit, 30 home runs and drive in 80. That's an acceptable season. You know what we used to call that in the late 80s or in early 90s? Poor John Belmer's probably too young to even remember these guys. Go look them up. Rob Deere and Mickey Tettleton and Pete Incaviglia. Go look up those names if you want to have any sense of what baseball like that looks like. And those guys were sort of marginalized players because that's what they did. In today's baseball, they'd be immortal for that sort of thing. And the NBA has sort of become the same thing in that it's all about the three-point shot. Who cares if you make 19 and, if you go 19 for 50 from three, those 19 are so important, or 20 for 50. I think the answer in the NBA, and I would love to see them do this, just keep backing up the NBA three-point line until it no longer is advantageous for teams to jack up 45 threes a night or 43 pointers in a night. Felt like every time I turned up and looked at the TV tonight, the Boston Celtics were shooting another three. And tonight they made a lot of them, and they blew out Atlanta. They blew out the Hawks on the road in Atlanta. But to me, you're taking away everything else that makes basketball great when it just becomes a three-point shootout and teams running up and down the floor and some guy standing in the corner waving his arms around like I used to when I was in CYO basketball in high school, hoping that you'll pass me the ball and I could jack up a three because that's all I could do. But that's what the NBA's become. And you're losing out on everything else that makes basketball great as a result. Just keep backing up the three-point line every year. Eventually, you will get to the point where it's no longer advantageous to jack up 43s a game. Just keep backing it up. 6 inches, a foot, whatever. They still want to shoot it from out there and miss a ton? Let them. Brian Kenny on Major League Baseball, the postseason awards, free agency, and more. That's next on The Cash In. It's SportsMap Radio. Yeah, I hate it. Nope. It's not that I shouldn't say I hate it. I hate what it's turning the league into, though. It is. But I don't think it's a better game. Is it exciting to watch a team shoot, 12 of 40 from three? And, I mean, meh. I mean, and you had the perfect example of it tonight, what we're talking about, because the Celtics were 21 of 46 from three. And you know what Atlanta was? 7 of 32. That's not watchable. Atlanta, this is crazy. I don't know the last time I've seen this in a 4-quarter basketball game. No overtime. Atlanta took 101 shots tonight in this game. You never see that in a box score. They were 42 of 101 from the field. That's what I'm saying. They needed 101 shots to score 101 points tonight. I mean, that's comical. It is. It's terrible. Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Now on MLB Network, our old buddy from our NBC Sports Radio days. All right,
so I got it all on this end.
Brian, let's... Yep. And we're live with Jason Cole next hour. And tomorrow night, I already got a guest. But are you tomorrow, or is it Austin? Yeah, then it's not. Then it's probably Austin, because I think Brian said he's Friday. Unless there's somebody else that they've hired. Well, I know about that, too. We roll along on this Wednesday edition of the show, and it is baseball award season, free agency all starting to come into focus as well. We talk about it all with Brian Kenny, host of MLB Now on MLB Network, our old buddy from our NBC Sports Radio days as well. Brian, let's start with obviously the news of the day, and that is Justin Verlander, Sandy Alcantara, winning the Cy Young Award. Start with Verlander first and foremost, because what he did this year, to me, I don't think it's gotten enough play around the larger sports universe. Coming back from TJ surgery, 18-4, 1.75 ERA, age of 39, part of a World Series team. I mean, it's pretty bonkers what he did.
Yeah, it is amazing. You're right. Anything a sub-2 ERA is pretty historic, actually. Anything that's for a qualified season over 160 innings. I think since I can't think exactly. I think it was divisional era. I think we've seen the three lowest ERAs were Pedro in one of his peak seasons. I think it was 2000. Ron Guidry in his epic 1978 season, and this one from Verlander. So, run scoring is still reasonably high. It's an amazing feat. And you're right in that we can look at it now and say, well, of course, it's Justin Verlander and blah, blah, blah. But we didn't know this. Like last year, I really wondered. I was like, wow, $25 million for Verlander. The Astros really believe in him. And they were totally rewarded. Like, he was the total package. He put in a great season. He was a little gassed at the end, but he pitched with a lot of guts to finish it up and win a World Series title.
Yeah, he certainly did. And getting that first World Series win, actually in the postseason, actually getting the W in the win column in the World Series was something that had been missing from his ledger. Not that it matters. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer regardless. Do you think he gets to 300 wins if he stays healthy? Because I get the sense he's hanging around for it.
Oh, man, where is he? I'm not a big individual pitcher win fan. Where is he right now?
Oh, I just looked this up. Let me see. Justin Verlander, total wins, career wins. I know he'd probably have to pitch another 2.5 seasons if I'm not mistaken. 244 is what he's at.
Yeah, that's kind of far. It'd be pretty remarkable. Again, what he win 18 this year, which jumped him up, but I don't know.
He's going to be Brian. He's the last shot. I mean, in Star Wars, they say he's our last hope. He's our last hope for a 300-win pitcher.
Yeah, no, you're right. It ain't happening. It's not going to be emphasized. Yeah, I look at the way it is now. Unless, if Major League Baseball eventually gets to, and I think they'll get to some version of this eventually, of limiting the amount of pitchers you can have on the roster, we could see a swing back. That might be 40 years down the road, right? Where it's like, okay, but I mean, baseball has swung in a lot of different directions. So it doesn't mean we have to go the way we're going. But for the near future, yes, no one else is getting there. But I don't know. I don't judge guys like that. I think there's run prevention. There's sophisticated ways of looking at it. I look at it that if it weren't for the individual pitching win, this would have been his 5th Cy Young. If he's a 5-time Cy Young Award winner, not that it should change our view of him, but it would just kind of change the narrative a little bit. He'd be moving up toward, maybe not equal to, but toward that big, high echelon group of Randy Johnson, Greg Maddux, Tom Seaver, way up there. I mean, going past guys like Jim Palmer and even John Smoltz and guys who we know are great, who are Hall of Famers, but getting into that, higher upper echelon. That's what he's building for right now.
Where do you think he pitches next year?
I don't know. I don't know who's going to be willing, everyone's going to be willing to take a shot at him, of course. But would anybody be willing to go for year 3? Like, I think most clubs would look at him and say, hey, 2 years, 25, maybe 30. Does he get into the range of Max Scherzer? Maybe for 2. But will someone go 3 years at $40 million, kind of that Scherzer range? I don't know who does that. That's dicey. The Mets are kind of, topped off at that level. Even the Dodgers would be taking a chance. I don't know. It's dicey. I really don't know who's going to be thinking along those lines.
Talking with Brian Kenny, does a great job on MLB Network, host of MLB Now, joining us here on the Cash In SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. And listen, if he gets 3 years, 18 wins a year, it does get him close to 300. Just saying, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Speaking of the Astros, while we're on that team, how surprising is it to you to sort of hear about I don't know if dysfunction's the word, but sort of where, all of this landed with James Click leaving and, supposedly the influence of Reggie Jackson and Jeff Bagwell and sort of the state of affairs for a franchise that just won the World Series. And now we're hearing about all these things that were supposedly happening as the season went along that I don't know if most people were privy to.
No doubt. From the outside, it looked like it all made sense. Not only, obviously the Astros under Jeff Luhnow were a very forward-thinking organization, and people can make cracks about the sign stealing and all that, but they're at the vanguard of, advanced game planning and analytics and just the way they study the game. They're at the other team that's up there with them, obviously, are the Rays, and the A's to a certain extent, too. So James Click coming from the Rays, where he'd been for a long period of time, and getting there and just making like small, smart moves, including Justin Verlander. That's not a small move. That's a big move, but they're just kind of relatively quiet. Keeping their own guys, extending Yordan Alvarez, getting a bunch of extra relief pitchers, just doing smart things. So it makes no sense to me. Also, Click is not a bombastic sort. Like, if I thought James Click, and I've known him for years. I'm not close with him personally, but I've spoken to him, for over a decade. And he was a baseball prospectus writer. He's a buttoned up sort of guy. He also represented the Astros in a buttoned up sort of way, much the way Dusty Baker did coming off the scandal. You had to answer a lot of questions to which you were not responsible for, but you had to answer. I thought James Click did a fantastic job. So I'm at a loss. Especially given that Jim Crane saw the value of the database decisions of Jeff Luhnow, Sig Maydal, Mike Elias, like what his machine built. I'm surprised because Crane also, coming from his background in logistics, and he prizes data and logical decisions. I'm still puzzled as to how that relationship did not work.
Give me a thought on, kind of as it takes us from the Astros to the Yankees, because the offseason obviously for the Yankees is going to be big news no matter what happens one way or the other. There was thought that the Astros wanted Anthony Rizzo. The Yankees brought him back. I paid a lot for him. I mean, 2 years, $20 million, with the possibility of it being even more than that if he comes back for a third year. What does it mean for Judge? And I guess I'll throw a third question in there, even though you're not supposed to ask 2 or 3 questions in one. What do you read into the recent comments from Hal Steinbrenner?
Well, I'll go backwards on this.
Sure.
First of all, the Rizzo signing is big for the Yankees. Their offense, as formidable as it was in the first part of the season, and again, they were the best team in baseball for a while, and not for just a couple of weeks, for a couple of months. But their offense, the way it ended, if they didn't have Rizzo and you're unsure about Judge, they kind of crater. They're not a bad team, obviously. They'd still be a good team, but you've got to be very good to compete in that division. That division, there's no weak spots anymore. So if they didn't get Rizzo, they'd be in trouble. I thought, I was talking to Bo Porter about this today. We did MLB Now together, and we both agreed. I used the word, I said, if the Astros had gotten Rizzo, it would have been a kill shot. Meaning you're depriving the Yankees of him, and you're adding this just veteran, good process, great at bat first baseman. Yeah, he's older, but he's got this. He understands situational hitting. He slugs .480. He's consistent. He works hard. He plays good defense. if you just the Astros would have been perfect for him. I'm stunned that I guess Jim Crane is running things right now. I actually thought Rizzo would do better on the open market. So I'm looking at it saying 3 for 20. If you have to do a 3-year deal, 60. I'd do that. I think the Yankees did 3 years, 51. I thought they got away light. Even though Rizzo's older, I thought he showed so many good things this year, and being a left-handed bat, that he's kind of a balance of power guy. And again, remember, Jason, this is like in a market where, there's Jose Abreu. He's even older. Yuri Gurriel, he's even older. Like, they're older than Rizzo. So it's not like you got all these first basemen. I feel like Mark Teixeira's out there in his prime. You've got those 4 stud shortstops, and then there's a drop-off to everybody else.
Thoughts on what it means for Judge and the comments from Hal Steinbrenner?
They want him. I think it just comes down to brass tacks. Like, does Judge want or demand, like how much? $40 million? Would he be satisfied with 7 years? Does he need 8 years? Is anybody willing to go there? I think it really comes down to total dollars. And that's a battle the Yankees can win because their payroll is higher than most others. The Mets, Dodgers, and Yankees, they can pay a big salary like that. But I don't know, in Judge's mind, let's say he or his agent say, we want 10. If they go in that way, there are going to be clubs like the Yankees that will drop out. Remember, they didn't go for 10 with Robbie Cano, and they ended up being absolutely correct. And as good as Judge looks now, as great as Judge looks now. Judge doesn't look good. He looks great. He's fantastic. He's the MVP. But he's, you're talking about going 31, and you want 10 years of that to age 40? What's he going to look like at 40? You've got to think that way. And as much as I love Judge, you have to look at him and say, hey, he's coming off his best year ever. And if he wants 10, I think I'm out. Now, if he wants 7, I'm back in.
I think 8 for 320 is probably where it lands. I think that's ultimately where the number winds up, and I don't see how the Yankees would say no to that. I thought you brought up a great point watching you on the air today where you said, look, they got him so cheap in his young years that you don't mind necessarily overpaying for him, in his 30s and a little bit more on the backside.
I totally believe that, and I said this with even Freddie Freeman last year with the Braves and many other times. It's a psychological thing. If the way the system is built, the club has leverage on a younger player. So no matter who you are, even Derek Jeter, Albert Pujols, you get away with, an undervalued asset for a good 6 years, and you can extend him early. You can keep him beyond that. If you sign a guy to a 10-year deal and he ends up being, just drops off the face of the map for the last 5, you can eat that. Because psychologically at least, it hurts you when your opportunity cost. But at least wait a second, we got this guy for nothing. We got his prime and we got him on the low end. So now we're overpaying him a bit. It evens out. But if you go on the open market and you buy that guy and he tanks for you for the last 5 years of a 10-year deal, it's all a loss. And that was Pujols with the Angels. It was like they didn't get his years with the Cardinals. Like, Pujols was right to say, hey, wait a second. Everyone's complaining about how much money I make. I wasn't making much money with the Cardinals, and I was the best hitter in baseball. I didn't get any accolades for that, and he'd be right. But the Angels didn't get those years. Those you need to get a guy fresh. So I have no problem when you have a franchise guy, and if it's Judge, if it's Freddie Freeman, if it's Joe Mauer, even remember that epic contract.
Sure,
pay the guy. That's what the business is about. Draft, develop. We have a stud. He's a star. He's a franchise guy. Pay the guy. Oh, no, we lost a little money on him. Yeah, on the back end, but you reaped all those rewards on the front end, and you got him cheap.
I got 90 seconds here. One, on the Bryce Harper injury, are we talking about them having to go make a big move now in free agency that they may not have otherwise made if indeed they can deduce he's lost for all of next year?
Oh, no, I don't think they go in thinking that. I think, remember, Shohei Ohtani had Tommy John, but as a hitter, you can come back. I think they're looking at him May, maybe June. I don't think they're looking at losing him for the season. And if that's the case, I think they just get aggressive in building the parts around him.
Okay. Buck Showalter wins another Manager of the Year award, his fourth different team as well. Also bonkers for lack of a better word. Is he a Hall of Famer without winning a World Series?
Oh, wow. I didn't even consider that. But yeah, I would say yes. You rarely see a guy totally change franchises. We were talking about the Diamondbacks the other day, how they got off to such a great start as an organization. It's because of Buck Showalter. The Mets were completely turned around this year because of Buck. He was my pick for manager of the year too, and brilliant baseball mind, great career. I don't know what he needs. Does he need to get to World Series? Maybe a pennant. I don't think Dusty needed it to get into the Hall of Fame. I don't think Buck needs it, but it makes it easier.
Brian Kenny hosts MLB Now on MLB Network. Catch him tomorrow, and don't forget tomorrow's MVP awards will be announced on MLB Network as well. Thank you, my friend. I know it's a long day for you. Thank you. I always appreciate it.
All right, Jason. Pleasure. Take care.
We'll come back and wrap up the hour next. Bum, 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 bum. We do? So I'd never do that. It's news to me. If you love picking football games and you think you're good at it, it's time for you to head to playfortickets.com. Playfortickets.com. It's free to play, and you got a chance to win a trip to football's biggest game in February in Glendale, Arizona. How's that sound? It's called the Super Pick 7 contest. All you got to do is go to playfortickets.com and sign up. It's free to play, free to sign up, free to join. And guess what? If you pick the correct side and totals on Sunday for 7 games, that's simple, you're winning 2 tickets to the 2023 big game and putting $50,000 of cash in your pocket. It's that simple. Playfortickets.com. Go there right now. Sign up. It's free to do it. Free to sign up. You go there, click on the Super Pick 7 contest, Every Sunday of the NFL season it's going on, including the playoffs. It gives you a chance to win. Just pick the correct side and total on Sunday for 7 games, and you've got $50,000 cash, 2 tickets to football's biggest game, airfare, and hotel. Who knows? I might even run into you while I'm there. 21 and over to play. Terms and conditions apply. Playfortickets.com. The Super Pick 7 contest. Go and play. It's free. Doesn't get any better than free. I know that's Belmer's favorite price. Cheapskate. We're back with another hour of the Cash In. Right around the corner on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Don't go anywhere. This is the first time I've heard about it all week. November I'm rocking my Tom Ford brown eyeglasses tonight. See, you don't watch the show. You should pop on the live stream once in a while. You should. I'm rocking my really nice frames tonight. A little. At least I can look it. Another hour of the show starts right now on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. I think we're ready. We're just about ready to make a live bet for you tonight. We do at least one live bet every night on the show. Last night was the rare exception. And usually we win. So the advice would be listen to what I tell you. Listen to my tale. Suns and Warriors right now. 2:48 to go, second quarter. 63-57, Phoenix on top. All right, ready? We're going to lock it in. Oh, it just went down a little bit. 63-57, Phoenix on top of Golden State. 2:48 to go. 245.5 is the total on the live bet. Lock it in under 245.5. Thank you. And we should be ringing that register by the time this show ends. 245.5 is the number. I say it goes under that. And look, the logic is easy. You know, live betting is about beating an algorithm. It's not about beating a human, setting a line before the game and all of that. I think it's much easier to beat the algorithm because algorithms don't take certain variables into effect. They're just looking at the score and projecting what that score will be at the end of 4 quarters. Live betting hasn't caught up to the variables that humans can often anticipate. So there's a reason why most nights we win our live bets on this show. And if you listen to us, you got a chance to win. It's as simple as I can make it. So 245.5 was the number. We gave it to you just a couple of minutes ago. They're approaching halftime. By the way, Stephen Curry is having a monster night. 4-5 from 3, 10 of 13 from the field. He's 4-4 from the line, 28 points, 4 rebounds, and an assist in 16 minutes for Stephen Curry tonight. Wow. Suns being led by Devin Booker. He's got 16. 68-57 Phoenix on top of Golden State, by the way. God, the line just keeps going higher and higher. The live line is now 247.5. Oy vey. What did I say it was? 245.5 when we did the pick? Is that what I said? Okay. Check the tape. Check the tape! We're back with more of the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Stay tuned! Yeah, I said 245.5. Yeah. God, it's up to 250.5. Jesus, that's not good for us. Just keeps going up. It's crazy. Second quarter. 245.5. Wow. What a crazy number. Problem is Curry might need 60 for them to win tonight. See, but here's the thing. That number doesn't make sense. 245.5 is what I took it at. It's 70-62, which is 132 with a minute to go in the second quarter. Let's even say it finishes at, 137 or 138. Oh, actually, that's not good for us. No, that's still, yeah. Eesh. Ay. It's a lot of points. Sticking to my guns. It's on ESPN. Should be able to find it. Yeah. I love the alternate uniforms. Yeah. The Bucks did something weird. Yeah, they did some weird blue thing tonight. No, what? With yeah. I don't know. Oh, a dirty word. I love how you say a dirty word like you can't say it. Oh, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Continuing with the second hour of the show, we'll be joined by my buddy Jason Cole. Coming up about 28 minutes from now, get some thoughts with him on the NFL. Keeping an eye on the live betting for tonight, as I told you we would. I said 245.5 on the Suns and Warriors. It's 72-64 Phoenix with 24 seconds to go in the second quarter. Stephen Curry just having a monster. He's got 30. It's just crazy. He's got 30 in the first 18 minutes of action for him on the floor. He played the entire first quarter, by the way, and then they sat him to start the second quarter before bringing him back in. He's got 31. Oh, my God. He's on a pace to go for 60 tonight. A 60 burger we could be witnessing tonight. So we'll keep an eye on that game, let you know if we've got any potential history in the making in Arizona. What's Curry's single game record? Can you look that up, Belmer? What's his single? What's Curry's single game record for points in a game? I'll be curious to know. We'll keep tabs on that game as they're about to go to the half. Big night for Curry in the making. 10 of 13 shooting, and still the Warriors are trailing the Suns 72-65 as they approach halftime, as they reach halftime. Yeah, go ahead. He had 62. Do you know which game that was? Okay, all right. No, but 62, that gives us an idea. So he's on a pace for that. He's got 31 at the half. 62 is his record. And trust me, the guys on the Sun, the guys in Phoenix, the guys in Golden State in that locker room, and Stephen Curry knows it. So if he's got a shot to sniff it or break it, he's going to be out there on the floor. And like I said, they might need him to score all 62 of them in order to have a chance to win tonight because he's not getting any help. Okay. Well, Trailblazers don't play any defense, so that's not a surprise. So as I said, Jason Cole from Outkick.com will join us coming up about 25 minutes from now. We'll get into some NFL with him. And could things be about to break right for the Packers? Anybody who's listened to this show knows I'm down on Green Bay, and for good reason. I mean, they've been really mediocre all year. Aaron Rodgers hasn't played great football. The team is dealing with injuries, as are all NFL teams, but they suck. I think they suffer from a talent deficit. I mean, they are at a deficit when it comes to talent. There's no getting around it. They've got young receivers that are going to get better, but they've basically had to learn on the job this year because Aaron Rodgers wasn't involved in any offseason workouts. I know that's something Pat McAfee probably won't bring up when he, verbally fillets him for an hour every week on his show, but the reality is Aaron Rodgers is as much to blame for the lack of development of the young receivers he wants to critique every week and say, some guys should lose reps. Well, Aaron, did you give them every chance to succeed? as the guy that's the quarterback of that team, the leader of that organization, did you give them every chance to succeed? You know what the answer is? No, you didn't. So at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers is as much to blame for the slow development. Now, if you watch Sunday's game against Dallas, as I did on and off on my phone while I was out shopping on Sunday, I know. How could I be out shopping on a Sunday when the NFL is on? Sometimes you gotta wave the white flag. Your significant other will sometimes win those battles. But I was watching while I was out and about on Sunday. Christian Watson looked like a different player against a Dallas defense that's one of the best in the league. So maybe Christian Watson has turned a corner. And maybe the Packers are figuring out the right combination between the run game and the pass game. Defensively, they're not terrible. But the problem for them this year has been scoring points and being able to score enough against some of the teams they've been playing against. Now, here they are at this point in the season where they're basically a game out of a wild card spot. And they're playing Tennessee, which on paper you might think, well, don't know how good that is for Green Bay going up against this Tennessee team that had played better as of late. But then you start to look at the Titans from an injury standpoint, and you say maybe the Packers are just getting them at the right time. Maybe some breaks are starting to go the Packers' way. They're 4-6, by the way. I said 4-5. They're 4-6. But they're still right there for the third wild card spot. As I've said before, in the NFC, in all likelihood, when you talk about the wild card, you're talking about the Giants and Cowboys picking up 2 of the 3 wild card spots. If the Eagles fall apart, maybe they wind up a wild card and one of those teams wins the NFC East. Regardless, you're going to get 3 teams at least out of the NFC East that wind up in the postseason. And then you're talking about Green Bay, Atlanta/Tampa Bay, Seattle/San Francisco, and Arizona that are competing for the final wild card spot. And Green Bay's basically a game back. For as bad as they've been this year, they could still hang their hat on the fact that they've got plenty to play for. If they had lost this week and had gone to 3-7, the whole narrative shifts. And I thought they would lose at home against Dallas on Sunday. It was one of my picks. It was one of Paige's picks. But the narrative has to shift when you talk about a Green Bay team that now finds themselves just a game out as far as that final wild card spot is concerned, and gets Tennessee this week in a week where Tennessee's got some injuries they're dealing with. Center Ben Jones, a concussion. Safety Amani Hooker, a shoulder injury. Kicker Randy Bullock, a right calf. Outside linebacker Ben Dupree's got a hip. We all have a hip. Backup safety Lonnie Johnson, a hamstring injury, has also been ruled out. So, they're dealing with a whole bunch of injuries. And, they're just getting healthy at the quarterback position. Josh Lambo was brought in to handle kicking duties for the team. They're dealing with a lot of issues right now, just trying to hold that roster together. And Mike Vrabel's one of the best coaches on the planet. But I got to say, I'm very impressed with the fact that Tennessee, who got off to a very sluggish start, remember the loss to the Giants early in the year, and I think they were like 1-2 or 1-3, and now look at them. They're very much in the thick of things, leading the AFC South. But as it pertains to the Packers, maybe Green Bay at home this week is just getting Tennessee at the right time. That game on Thursday night on Prime Video, and we'll have full coverage of it here on the show. We'll do all the live betting. We'll have the post-game stuff from the podium like we always do each and every week here on the Cash-In. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. From Green Bay to another team that's been just abysmal this year, and that's Las Vegas. The Raiders are 2-7, and we talked about it last night Oh gosh, what's the guy's name we talked to? It was a Raiders beat writer, and Vic Tafer. Sorry. Oh my goodness, my brains are mashed potatoes. So Vic Tafer, who we talked to last night on the show from The Athletic, talked to us, and he said, he basically got Mark Davis saying, hey, we're going to, Rome wasn't built in a day. We're going to give this thing time to work itself out. And look, if I'm a fan of the Raiders at this point, and he was applauded, Mark Davis was, by Derek Carr and Devontae Adams, who said, hey, giving Josh McDaniels the time he needs. Mark Davis backing off so Josh McDaniels allowed the Raiders to exhale. Davis said on Monday on ESPN, people want instant gratification and that Rome wasn't built in a day. Derek Carr said Wednesday Davis's vote of confidence allowed the players to exhale. It really did, Carr said. Just being here for 9 years and everything that we've all seen and been through and some tragedies and all this stuff, right? I'm so happy to hear that Mr. Davis feels that way. I'm so happy that he loves Josh. He loves first-year general manager Dave Ziegler, and he believes in them. Let me tell you something. If Derek Carr is that naive, then he really just shouldn't even talk. Because the only thing Mark Davis is thinking about is all the money he'd have to pay Josh McDaniel if he fired him midway through the first season of a 4-year contract. After he just, especially when he's going through what he is in, all these talks with John Gruden and how much does, Chucky get paid after they decided to let him go with the whole controversy last year, the old emails and all that stuff that was brought up. But to me, what Mark Davis is giving a chance to, he's praying that Josh McDaniel can turn it around so this isn't another waste of money. But I'll still say it. If Sean Payton walks up to Mark Davis, at Super Bowl week or the Pro Bowl or any of these things, and Mark Davis hears from Sean Payton, hey, I want to coach your team next year, he will dump Josh McDaniel so fast his head will spin. Promise you that. And Derek Carr's just happy because maybe if they're going to give Josh McDaniel some time, maybe they're going to give me a little more time. You know what, Derek Carr, you've had 9 years. 9 years. There aren't a lot of guys that get a chance to be a quarterback of a team for 9 years that barely does squat in the postseason. So I'm sorry, all the tears from Derek Carr. Guys are putting in so much effort. All that stuff, it looks great on camera. Maybe it curries some favor in the locker room. But I'm sorry, 9 years is enough. If I were the Raiders, I'd tank. I'd go get one of these, great quarterbacks that are sitting there at the top of the draft. And I'd say sayonara till tomorrow. Peace out. Right now, Las Vegas is slotted to get the second pick in the draft. There's there's 3 to 5 good quarterbacks anywhere. You're probably going to get 3 in the top 5 of the draft. And I think Hendon Hooker is listed as the 5th best quarterback in the draft, and they're projecting him to go early to mid second round. So maybe Vegas could get him there if they want. But I mean, for Derek Carr to be saying more patience, Rome wasn't built in a day. My God, you've had 2 cities and a whole bunch of head coaches and a whole bunch of bad records. How much more do fans need to wait for in Las Vegas with the Raiders? They're out of patience. Maybe not in Vegas because it's a new franchise there, but certainly the Raider fans that are still here on the West Coast in California, they're done with you. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004, and hit me up on Twitter at the back page. We'll come back. More to say on this. Our NBA Live Bet of the Night. We'll check in on that as well as we continue. It's the Cash In from SportsMap Radio. What? Verbal fellatio? Verbally filleting? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. It's how I always describe the Pat McAfee, Aaron Rodgers. It is. It's an hour of verbal fellatio. It is literally oral sex. Oh, it's just a bunch of softballs being lobbed. It's such a joke. I would never debase myself for a guest. I'd rather have the freedom to say what I really mean and think and want to say than just for the sake of having a great guest. Yes, exactly. I'd be respectful. I'm not saying you be a dick, but you got to push back. You can pick one segment and the 2 interviews, and basically you'll have the podcast tonight. See me? There I am. Our buddy Dave, listening in Connecticut, just sent me a betting slip, a live bet that he made. He got it at under 251 on that Warriors-Suns game, and he jumped on it. So he's got. See, I got it under 245.5, which I may be sweating a little bit. But he got it under 251 on the live betting line in Connecticut on the Sugar House app, which is available in Connecticut. So see how he does. Good luck, Dave. Good luck. He was Dave. I love Dave. He was texting me last night from Quinnipiac University. You'd have to go look it up if you don't know anything about Quinnipiac. They play in they used to play in the Northeast Conference. They're Division I in college basketball and in college hockey. They're one of the best college hockey programs in the country over a number of years. And they are, I can't remember what conference they're in college basketball now. They're not in the Northeast Conference anymore. But anyway, they are one of these smaller conference schools, and they were playing Dartmouth last night. And he's sending me live betting lines on the game of the MAC. They're in the MAAC, and he's sending me live betting. I'm like, wow, this is degenerate territory here. If you're sending me live betting lines, wait, can you play that one more time? That's great. Yeah, exactly. I mean, because if you're doing live betting on Northeast Conference games. I mean, that's like a step of MAC games. That's like a step above live betting, like high school football in your local gym. But anyway, and by the way, if there is any place whatsoever where the fix could be in college basketball, it's going to be in those mid-majors, those small conference matchups, because those guys ain't getting the NIL money. You know, if you're going to Quinnipiac or Central Connecticut State University or Davidson, you're not getting that big NIL money out there. Nobody's paying you to go there. So if there's ever a place where I would be suspicious about, you know, the outcome of some games and some weird endings and somebody kicking a ball out of bounds late, maybe in a game that doesn't matter or a game that's already out of hand and you're just looking at the total and you kind of got a raised eyebrow. If there was ever any place where I would become very skeptical about outcomes, it would be in those mid-majors and those smaller conference games. Those are the fixable ones where you can get to somebody and say, hey, you know, here's a G note to go kick a ball out of bounds, or here's $5,000 to go kick a ball out of bounds. Am I being overly cynical when I say that? You think so, Belmer? Am I being overly cynical if I suggest that? Some trickle down. Wait a minute. Wait. Really? You would? You're justifying this? What? You are. No, you are. Don't try to walk it back now. You were just very much in favor of it. Which you are. Yeah. Yeah. All right. It's like Nigel Gruff in The Replacements. Gene Hackman coaching the team and Keanu Reeves at quarterback. I'm going to lose my pub. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004, and again on Twitter at the back page. They're still at the half in the Phoenix Golden State game, 72-65 Phoenix on top. We told you to take it at 245.5. The current live betting is 244.5, which means the projections say we're gonna win this bet, even if we have to sweat it out a bit. Getting it at 251. As our friend Dave did, who's listening to the show. That's a great number because I don't think it gets anywhere near 251. I really don't. Knicks and Nuggets, with the Knicks the Knicks just can't put anything together in terms of a run. They win a game, they lose a game. They win a game, they lose a game. And I think that's what the Knicks are. They're going to be a 500 basketball team this year. That's what the Knicks are going to be. They're going to be a 500 basketball team all year. That you just maybe they get into the play-in game, get into that situation. I think they're good enough to be a play-in team. Maybe at the top end they're a 7 or an 8 seed. That's what it feels like right now for the Knicks. Good one day, bad the next. 66-66 Knicks and Nuggets. 7:10 left to go in the third quarter. Knicks on the back end of a back-to-back beat Utah last night. In Salt Lake City. So we'll see and again, the big story tonight is what's going on with Stephen Curry. He has 30. Wow, he's already up to 34 now. 8:12 to go in the third quarter. Why is this so far behind? I said still at the half. Yikes. Let me fix this. I'm way behind. 7:56 to go, third quarter. 80-71, Phoenix on top of the Warriors. My apologies. My thing still has, it's weird. FanDuel still hasn't updated the score in the game, but ESPN has. So it's 80-73 Phoenix. Curry's got 34 with 7:38 to go in the third. So certainly a night where 50 is not out of the possibility. And again, 62 is his career high. So we'll wait to see if he can get to that number. Jason Cole's going to join us coming up in 5 minutes. We'll talk some NFL with him. Bruce Arians made some interesting comments going to bat basically for Byron Leftwich running the offense in Tampa Bay. and basically saying what we've been saying and a lot of pundits have said, but some people are kind of scared to tiptoe around the fact that Tom Brady hasn't played that well this year. And I want to see what Jason Cole thinks of Bruce Arians sort of being willing to speak his mind now as he has this cushy job in the front office of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers organization. Phoenix on top of Golden State 80-73, 7:38 to go third quarter. We will keep tabs on that game as we continue to go through the show. 1-800-224-2004 is the number. On Twitter at the back page if you want to hit me up there. We'll do the NFL talk with Jason on the other side. Looking forward to catching up with my man from Outkick.com. Does a great job on the NFL. Stick around. More to do on this Wednesday edition of the Cash In. It's SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Yep, the Vets. Yep, the Vets. Yeah, I gotta hurl into a microphone. Make a free call. Yeah, I'm interested to see what it looks like. Interesting. I think FanDuel's Sportsbook website went down. I think that's what happened. All right, let me get Jason on the line. We roll along on this Wednesday edition of the show, SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. We go by phone to the Bay Area. Say hello to our friend Jason Cole, Outkick.com. He's an NFL writer, also a Hall of Fame selector who joins us on the show from time to time. A couple times a month we get him on the horn. Jason, I was just commenting on the interesting comments from Bruce Arians, basically going to bat for Byron Leftwich as far as the offensive woes of the Buccaneers. What did you make of his comments about Tom Brady and his play to this point this season?
He's not necessarily wrong. I mean, look, there's not a lot of love between those two guys right now, right? So Arians is going to defend his guy. He's probably willing to take a shot or two at Brady along the way because Brady's the reason he's not coaching now. So I think there's a little extra incentive on that one. But I think a reasonable-minded person would say, yeah, Tom didn't play well, but there's a pretty good reason. Like the offensive line was horrible, and they had a lot of injuries, especially the receivers. Godwin wasn't around, Evans has been banged up, and Julio Jones is kind of limping around at this point, and so it's been a bad situation all around for that offense. But yeah, Arians, top number one thing, he's going to defend his guy. Number two thing, and pretty closely behind, he's going to be happy to take a shot or two at Brady when he gets a shot.
With the win this week, now a game in front of Atlanta in the NFC South, is this the point where they start to separate themselves a bit? Or when you look at the head of the schedule for them in the second half is not very easy either. It seems like a lot of teams got sort of an easy first half schedule and a tougher second half schedule, and I think they're part of that group. Do you feel like this is the time where they start to separate themselves and create a little space in that division?
No, I think they continue to limp, but they win the division. Look, this is a team that's probably going to win 9 games, maybe 10. And what are they at right now? They're 4-5?
5-5. I think they're 5-5.
They're 5-5. So they got to go 5-2 the rest of the way to win 10 games. I don't really see that, not with their schedule and not with the health that they're in. But I think that they're a team that's just sitting there saying, look, just get healthy. The division's awful. We'll win the division. We'll get to 9 wins. It'll be enough. And if we just get in the tournament and we get hot and we're healthy, we'll be fine. Because, who are the quarterbacks, especially on the NFC side, who you fear at this point? It's still only Brady and Rodgers are the quarterbacks you fear. You don't fear Jimmy Garoppolo, even though they're going to win that division going away. San Francisco, and whoever comes out of the East, I don't really fear any of those quarterbacks. Yeah, Jalen Hurts has impressed me. Daniel Jones has taken a step in the right direction. Dak Prescott is a good player, but none of them blow you away. None of them say, "Oh my God, I'm worried about how we're going to have to handle him." So I think that's how the Bucs are looking at this. Just get hot, be good enough at the end and get on a roll, and they should be all right.
I know you can make this argument every year in the NFL, but I think this year more than any, I literally think anybody who makes the playoffs in the NFC could wind up in the Super Bowl. I don't think that's crazy. No, that's not crazy at all. I mean, look, Philadelphia is by far the best team when you by far look at I'm just examining those words closely. You think by far? They're by far,
but there was going to be a follow-up. Oh. By far, when you look at the statistical data,
yeah.
Okay, but a lot of that statistical data is based on, okay, in the first 8 games they only had 3 turnovers, and they're going to have a very good ratio of turnovers, turnovers takeaways. It's going to be really good at the end of the season, but it's absurd to say that any team's going to only have 3 turnovers over an 8-game stretch and continue that over the entire season and only have 6 for the season. So, we saw that turn around a little bit on Monday. So they will regress a little bit to the norm, but when they're right, they're very good and they're the most consistent team. But then, yes, you look at the rest of them. San Francisco, to me, probably has the best roster overall, but I don't fear the quarterback. And they're still just figuring out how does McCaffrey work with Debo and all the other things. And you saw them struggle on Sunday night, trying to figure out how to do it. And, they busted some routes and things like that. And, they've got their fair share of injury problems that I don't know are going to be fixed by the time you get to the playoffs. So there's still some doubt. But I like the team that I think has the best chance to get to the Super Bowl from the NFC is San Francisco. That's the one that I say, okay, I like that team the best overall. But there's a lot of progress that they have to make.
I'm with you on San Francisco. Listen, I've been saying since week 4 or week 5, even before San Francisco got Christian McCaffrey, I've been saying that I think San Francisco and Dallas, because of those defenses, I think those are two Super Bowl caliber defenses. Combined with the fact that you got quarterbacks that can make enough plays, and now especially with the addition of McCaffrey, I'm there with you on San Francisco. I am all the way there on the 49ers.
It's a very nice team. I mean, overall, they got holes like everybody's got holes. Okay, the secondary is banged up. You don't know what's going to happen. You're crossing your fingers on both sides with every play. Garoppolo is kind of a brain dead heaver a lot of the time. But as long as they don't ask him, it's like downtown Julie Brown once said, I like him big and stupid. I mean, that's Jimmy Garoppolo. I love him dearly, but yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, fair enough. That's pretty funny. Wow, you quoted we got a downtown Julie Brown quote on the show.
Hey,
wubba wubba.
You got to bring it every once in a while.
The only thing missing is wubba wubba wubba. Man, I listened to her. I listened to her on Sirius all the time on the 90s on 9. She had wubba wubba wubba.
I'm going to Cyndi Lauper next. That's what I'm doing.
There you go. Yeah. Jason Cole, our guest, Outkick.com, does a great job on the NFL. He's also a Hall of Fame selector. Are the Raiders officially in tank mode?
Well, I think the tank is going to – I don't know that they're intentionally doing this. I mean, this is absurd. Going – what are they, 0-5 in one-score games or 0-6?
Something like that.
0-something. It's 0-something, and Josh McDaniels is now 1-12 in his last 13 one-score games. And I think, was it 7-31 in his last 38 games.
Does Mark Davis just not want to have to pay him for 4 years to basically do nothing? I mean, is that what we're talking about here? Because why else would he give the vote of confidence?
He's already paying John Gruden to not do. I mean, like, how much more money is he going to spend on guys who aren't coaching? And yeah, they're a cash poor team. There's no question about it. But the people who say they don't have the money to fire Josh McDaniels, yeah, they do. They can. I mean, Bill Plaschke's source is not necessarily wrong, but they can come up with the cash if they want to hire a new coach. I think Mark believes that he's made the right hire and wants to settle it, and to dump McDaniels after just one season is just not. I mean, it's not good practical football. I mean, you got to give a guy a little bit more chance. And I think that Josh McDaniels will obviously make the case that if they're bad enough, they should start over with a new quarterback. So McDaniels is going to sit there and say, we can dump Carr, get out from underneath that contract, bring in a new quarterback who we get, in the top 5 picks, because it's going to be a very deep draft. You got Levis out there, you got Bryce Young, and a few others who are going to be in the conversation. So they'll say that they'll go get that guy, and McDaniels will buy himself 3 or 4 years to develop that quarterback. I
mean, Derek Carr's been in the post. He's had 9 years, Jason. He's got one appearance in the postseason in 9 years. I know that him and Devontae Adams are like, oh, hooray, Mark Davis for saying patience and Rome wasn't built in a day. 9 years is not a day.
Well, I think it's actually technically it's 2 playoff. You would give him credit for the year that Del Rio made the playoffs, right? Wouldn't you? That would, out of fairness.
All right, fine.
I mean, look, he was the quarterback of that team. Okay, And he broke his leg. So, I'll give him that. But you're right. It's 2 out of 9. I will, in fairness to Derek Carr, he's been in a bad organization. The truth about Derek Carr is he's a league average quarterback. It's maybe slightly above league average, a little bit better than, maybe a little worse. I just think that McDaniels is going to sit here and know that the best way to buy himself more time is to get a new quarterback. That's how I view this, and that's how this is going to play out. Either that or he trades out of that pick to somebody else who's really desperate for a quarterback and tries to get 2 or 3 picks so that he can restock the roster in a hurry. Because the roster is just not very. I mean, part of this problem is the offensive line was so awful, and as much as going 0-5 or 0-6 in close games is not reasonable. Okay, it's also not reasonable what they did last year, because I think they were 6-1, maybe even 7-1 in 1-score games. So what's basically happened is the team has evened out what it was over a 2-year period of time. It just is crushing them at this point in time.
That win with Green Bay against Dallas on Sunday, changes the narrative, I think, or at least changes the storyline in terms of what Green Bay could do, because they're basically a game out of the final wild card spot. 2 of the wild card spots are going to be the Giants and Cowboys, and then you start to wonder from there who's that third team, and you've probably got about 6 or 7 teams in the NFC that are going to be fighting for that spot, and Green Bay is one of them. I think they get Tennessee at the right time this week because Tennessee is banged up. Could things break right? Christian Watson starting to maybe establish himself with what he did in that game against Dallas. Could things be breaking right for the Packers?
Everything has to go right with the receiving core. In other words, they've got to be on page with Rodgers the rest of the way. If they're not, then the answer is no. Because, look, that defense is just not very good. It's not horrible.
No, it's not horrible.
Wrong. But it has been allowed to look better than it is because they've had so many problems scoring offensively that other teams have said, okay, look, we don't have to take a lot of chances against them. We're not going to. We'll play to, we'll suppress the score because we weren't scared of Rodgers and that receiving core in the first half of the season. Now, if things will change, if that receiving core and Rodgers get it together, and the couple will challenge them. And look, the Cowboys had 28 on them and probably could have had 35 and should have had 31 easily if they just kicked the field goal in overtime. But, the bottom line is that the Green Bay defense has to get some cover from that offense that it hasn't received to this point so far this season.
As usual, never enough minutes in a segment, my friend. Jason Cole does a great job. Outkick.com on the NFL, a Hall of Fame selector as well. We'll do it again in a couple of weeks. Thank you, my friend.
Anytime. Be good. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, same to you, my friend. Jason Cole joining us on the show. 1-800. Oh, my goodness. I was just looking at the box score in the Warriors game. Curry's got 40, by the way. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Tweet at the show at the back page. We're going to be sweating out our 245.5 under bet. Phoenix leads Golden State 101-89. Again, the story at the end of 3 quarters. Actually, now it's 103-89 at the end of 3. Stephen Curry, 40 in that game, and given the score, he'll be back out there for sure in the fourth quarter trying to bring the Warriors from behind. Stay tuned. Lots more to do as we continue. We'll wrap up this hour of the Cash In next on SportsMap Radio. I love Jason Cole. No, he's always like that. Yeah, he's always kind of slow and paces himself. Yeah, he lives in do 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 do. Oh, cool. Awesome. Ba da 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 da. Yeah, but the scoring slows down in this quarter. Yeah, but in the third quarter, they only scored 55 combined. And there's 9:53 to go in the fourth. Clang. It's going to be close. We're definitely going to be sweating here. Yeah, they actually didn't say that, Fred Nation. They didn't say that. Oh, this is the greatest sports scandal in history, talking about the Astros. Nobody in New York said that. It was a scandal. They didn't say it was the greatest sports scandal in history. Oh, yeah. It's a bad scandal. I mean, it is bad. I mean, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it was fair. I don't think it was unfair to question whether or not they should have had to lose the World Series. Like that it should have just been fucking vacated. Like, I mean, it's bad. Like that that's going above and beyond. That's not, your typical sign stealing. And I don't want to hear that, but the Yankees were doing it, or the Red Sox, or other teams are doing it. Don't use that as a rationalization. Well, I don't think the Yankees obviously didn't do it to the same degree. They absolutely didn't. Absolutely. The Yankees didn't get punished at all for a reason. No, that's bullshit. If anything, the Yankees would get punished harder. Oh, my God, absolutely. Sure they would. You think baseball favors the Yankees? Oh, you're crazy. Cheaters! Well, nobody did it to the degree they did. But was everybody using trash cans? No, I think they pinned. I don't think they might have only punished the Astros, but I think they made it a point to say that the Yankees were doing something. Cheaters. 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 Cheating bastards. Oh, Anthony Lamb is. Typical friggin' Knicks. trailing midway through the fourth, 96-90. It just team just cannot put 4 quarters together. It's so frustrating. Hello! Let's go! Final hour of a Wednesday/Thursday edition of the show. Thank you to our producer, engineer extraordinaire, John Belmer, working the show tonight in Houston. You're militant, but I still love you. We were just having an argument during the break about the Astros being cheaters, which they are. Cheaters. And it was as passionate as I've heard John Belmer speak into a microphone since I started working with him. Just saying. Militant. It's all right. Yeah, you're a homer. I get it. It's your team. You're going to defend them. I'm totally. I get it. I get it. You know, some of us have to cling to certain things in life. It's fine. No worries. 1-800-224-2004 is the telephone number. 800-224-2004. Tweet at him at the back page. Hit me up there on Twitter at the back page. I could say that John is poor. He's broke. I can make fun of his physique. I could say anything. But if I say the Astros are cheaters, that's crossing the line. Look, see, now he won't talk. Now the cat's got his tongue. He won't say. Look at him. Now he won't say anything. Denver leads the Knicks 96-90. Knicks are going to find a way to blow another game, which they led most of. Denver leads the Knicks 96-90 midway through the fourth. Phoenix on top of the Warriors 107-97. We are in sweat mode with about 8 minutes to go in the fourth. 245.5 was our live betting number. We said take the under. By the way, Vegas has the current total for live betting on that game at 241.5. So it's projected to go under the 245.5 we told you to take the under on. Just saying. Not taking a victory lap yet. The game ain't over, but just saying. We'll see if Curry gets to 50 tonight as well in that game. He's got 40. 7:40 to go in the fourth. All right. This hour, you'll hear from Brian Kenny from MLB Network. That's later on in the hour. Our Week 11 NFL early line checks, too. Stay tuned. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. If I don't make fun of you, it means I don't like you. Combative. Yeah. If you watch the end of Jerry Maguire, when Cuba Gooding Jr. is on ESPN being interviewed by Roy Firestone at the end of the movie, when he finds out he gets the contract of his, he finally gets the contract he's been waiting for, and they announce it on the show, he starts thanking his family members, and he goes to thank his brother, and he goes, "You're militant, but I still love you." Yeah, it's all in fun. Let's see here. What do I have on my rundown for this segment? I do my picks. Oh, boy. It's getting out of hand. 117, 101. I don't know if Curry's going to stay out there to get to the number. He's got 42. Yeah, because now the total's at 246.5. There's another bucket. Curry's got 44. We're at 220 with 5:41 to go in the fourth. I think it's going to be really close. But I think it stays under. Because the Suns will start slowing it down. We are officially in sweat mode on our live bet of the night. Live bet du jour. Phoenix leads Golden State 117-103, 5:41 to go in the fourth quarter in Phoenix. Curry's got 44 on 15 of 23 shooting. That's efficient. He's only taken 7 threes. He's 5 of 7 from 3. And 9 of 9 from the free throw line. They've tried to take the 3 away from him tonight, and he's just getting it everywhere. The only problem is he's got 44. The next best scorer has 12. And look, at some point we have to address the elephant in the room here. And I don't know if it's 15 games, 20 games, 25 games, 30 games. At some point there's got to be a conversation about Klay Thompson, who just continues to be mediocre at best. 5 of 15 tonight, 12 points. He's a minus 11. I mean, we've got to have a conversation here because I don't know what you do with him. I don't know what the answer is, but Charles Barkley said it, and Klay Thompson said it hurt his heart to have Charles basically say, "Look, this guy's just not that good anymore. He's not what he once was." And it's not because he isn't a good basketball player. He basically missed 2 years on the court. Nobody's taking away what he accomplished before that, but we have to start accepting, and maybe he'll have to sort of reinvent his game and change the type of player he is. Guys do it all the time in sports. We see it in baseball all the time, with pitchers. And I don't know if I've got a good basketball example of a guy that sort of completely altered and changed who he was because of injuries. Grant Hill was sort of good at, near the end after missing so many years because of injuries, and we all know what he was projected to be versus what actually wound up happening because of all the injuries that sidelined and derailed his career. But maybe Klay Thompson has to start figuring that out, because at this point, what he is just not all that valuable to this team. He's 32 years old. You'd like to think he's still got some time left to sort of figure it out in his career, but I don't know how you do it. I really don't. He's played the game one way for, the first 8-9 years of his career. And now here he is, and he just can't do the things he used to do. Maybe you start bringing him off the bench and just try to get his confidence back that way. 5:30 to go in the fourth. Phoenix 117, Golden State 103. We told you to take the under at 245.5 late in the second quarter in our live pick of the night. And right now it's Phoenix 117, Golden State 103. So we're at 220. Oh, check that, 223. Because Phoenix just hit a 3. So 120 to 103 with 5:09 to go in the fourth. We're hanging on for dear life. As are the Knicks, by the way, who were down 96-90 a few minutes ago. 3:10 to go in the fourth. Exciting finish shaping up in Denver with the Nuggets leading the Knicks 98-97. Knicks on the back end of a back-to-back. They beat the Jazz last night in Salt Lake City. Curry now to 47. with a 3-ball, 120-106 Phoenix. So Curry's got a shot to definitely get to 50. It may come at the expense of our under bet, though. We're hanging on. We'll see what happens. We talked about the NFL a bit with Jason Cole, I would need 2 full segments to get to everything I want to talk about with him. Maybe I'll start doing that. Maybe I'll hold him over for another segment or do 2 segments with him when we get him every couple of weeks. But the Saints, I was looking at the Saints and I said, well, maybe the Saints are starting to tank because they decided to go with Andy Dalton this week after talking about the idea of potentially returning to Jameis Winston. And then I stopped and thought about it and I said, wait a minute. Does New Orleans even have a pick in the top of the draft this year? And they don't. You know who gets New Orleans' pick? Talk about the rich getting richer. Ready for this, John Belmer? Let's say the Saints finish in the top 5 in the draft. Guess who gets their pick? Philadelphia. Yeah, that's right. Philadelphia gets the pick, not the Saints. So if you're Philadelphia, you're rooting for the Saints to keep sucking. Man, oh man, I tell you, it's so there is no great prize for the Saints for being bad this year. Right now, if the draft were to be held tomorrow, it would be Houston with the first pick, Las Vegas with the second pick, Carolina with the third pick, Philadelphia with the 4th pick, and Jacksonville would get the 5th pick. And then it would be Chicago with the 6th pick. But then it gets even better. You know another team that's benefiting from another team sucking? Seattle, because they get Denver. They get Denver's pick. So as Denver goes, Seattle's fortunes go. Not only, Denver right now would have had the 7th pick in the draft. Not that they're going to go get a quarterback. They have Russell Wilson anyway, locked up to $250 million in salary. But Seattle right now is poised to get the 7th pick. Detroit would get the 8th pick because they get the Rams pick at 8. They also get their own at 11. Then Houston has another pick at 9, which belonged to Cleveland. They get that Cleveland pick at 9. Ooh, vey. It's going to be some interesting maneuvering when we get to draft time. But if you look at those top 3 teams, Houston, Vegas, and Carolina, all 3 could realistically wind up taking a quarterback. So those 3 great quarterbacks that are sitting there at the top of the draft, they could all be gone by the time you get to Philadelphia at 4. Not that Philadelphia is going to take one, and I don't think Jacksonville's ready to mail it in yet on Trevor Lawrence. And it feels like Chicago is in a position right now where they believe Justin Fields could be the guy that they drafted a couple of years ago. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Hit us up on Twitter if you want as well, at The Back Page. Again, on Twitter, at The Back Page. Curry with 47 with 3:15 to go in the 4th. Is he still in the game? Yeah, he's still in the game. He's still out there. 16 of 26 shooting. But our live bet is still very much live. 3:15 to go in the 4th. 123-109 Phoenix. Now 124-109 Phoenix. As they play there, we need it to stay 12 points or less to get our live bet on the Suns. We do a live bet every night on this show. We do one game that we do live betting on. So if you love betting, if you love the betting lifestyle, the betting culture, we're here for you. We have one game we'll do with you guys every night here on the show. And our record's been pretty good on the live betting. I know John Belmer can attest to it. Yeah, I've been pretty good. Yeah, we went 3-0 on a game late last week. I think maybe on Thursday. I think we went 3-0 on the NFL Thursday night game, as a matter of fact. We went 3-0 on it. I don't know if we're going to win tonight, though. It doesn't look good for us right now. 125-109 Phoenix. So we need some help right now. We need some help from the undergods with 3 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. And how about the Knicks? 105 to go in the 4th, tied in Denver. 103-103. So the Knicks showing some heart. Miles and miles and miles of heart. Love it. We're going to have coming up in a couple of minutes, one of my favorite things we do every week on the show, are look ahead at the Week 11 NFL lines. We will go rapid fire through all of these NFL games and tell you what our early impressions are before we do Paige's Picks, which we do every Friday here on the show. So we'll wait and see what happens there. It's officially a 50-burger for Stephen Curry. He just hit another 3 moments ago. So he's got 50 on 17 of 28 shooting with 1:57 to go. It's Phoenix 125, Golden State 112. And I would imagine they'll probably get Curry out of the game now that he got to 50. But what an efficient 50 for Curry tonight. 50 points on 17 of 28 shooting. 7 of 11 from 3, 9 of 9 from the line, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. I mean, it's hard to be much better than that. It's just a shame he's got no help. The bench for the Warriors continues to be abysmal. And they scored 112 points tonight. And Curry's damn near got half of them. They got 9, 11. They got 17 points from their bench tonight. Now, and frankly, the Suns weren't much better, but all 5 Suns starters are in double figures. Cameron Payne at 29. Booker's got 27. That's probably going to do it for Curry and the Warriors. 126, 112, 142 to go in the fourth quarter. All right, we'll see if our under bet holds up. We had it at 245.5. Right now it's at 239. So we're going to need a miracle in the final 90 seconds of this game. We'll see what the end result is. We'll keep you up to date on the Knicks and the Nuggets as well. Brian Kenny later in the hour, about 17 minutes from now, our 2-for-1 tonight on the show. We talked to him in the first hour. We'll play it back here just before the end of the show, and you could hear his thoughts on the MLB postseason awards. Justin Verlander getting another Cy Young award, his third, to go along with the World Series trophy. Not bad. After a fantastic season, we'll talk about some of the other postseason awards and the free agency news around Major League Baseball as well. Stick around, more to do. The cashing continues on SportsMap Radio. Yes. Yep. Yeah, it is. No Chris Paul tonight, too. His civvies. 127, 112 Phoenix. And we might hang on here. There's probably about 4 possessions left in this game. Maybe 5. Yeah. No threes. No threes. No threes! Oh, my God! Jesus Christ. Like, come on. Get the prices right, ready. Yeah, and then free throws, the next worst thing. Jesus. So bad. Ugh. See, but you know what is safe? The 251 is probably going to be safe. Yeah. They call a flagrant? Are you kidding me? Yes. Come on. We're doomed, Belmer. We're doomed. God. Well, so I said I got it at 245.5. My friend got it at 251. He got it at 251. Yeah, 251 on the number. And that's going to hold up. I mean, unless things get really, well, maybe. Actually, it's at 247 now. So 251 may not be good. Yeah, he was just sitting here going, you may be sweating, but I'm already thinking about how I want my chicken dinner prepared. He may have spoke too soon because 130 to 117 is 247. Well, it's official. Our cash-in live bet pick of the night is a loser. Sorry to all those that lost the mortgage. Man, we were looking good. It just got out of hand. Curry decided to score 50. Yeesh. Well, there's always next time, which will be tomorrow because we'll have the Thursday night NFL game and we'll do our live betting bonanza on that as well. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. And if you want to hit me up on Twitter, go ahead and do so at the back page. Again, on Twitter, at the back page. 251 is still in the building, though. 130 to 119. That may wind up being the final, too. Wow. Man, yeah, I think that is going to be the final. Yes, he did. He did. 251 held up. But, man, they scored 249 combined points. I haven't been wrong on many unders this year in the NBA on the live bets, but tonight was one of those nights where we just couldn't hold it off. Mama said there'd be days like this. How about the Knicks, by the way? They pull it out in Denver, 106-103. The Knicks beat the Denver Nuggets on the road. That's a good win for the Knicks, who improved to 8-7 on the year. I'm curious how they if they got a last-second three to win it, because it was 103-103 late in that game. Did the Knicks actually get like a three to win it at the buzzer? Let's see here. See if I can find it real quick. Survey says no. Jalen Brunson hit a couple of free throws. It was 104-103 Knicks, and Jalen Brunson hit a couple of free throws down the stretch, and the Knicks defense, Jamal Murray, three goes begging as time expires, and the Knicks win it, 106-103. So that is a wrap on the NBA action for tonight. There's one NHL game still going on right now. They are late in the third period with the Kings leading the Oilers 2-1. See, now this is one of those games where it's, when you get 2-1 with 8 minutes to go in the third, and the live betting total on it is, I think the number right now, if I'm not mistaken, is 4.5. I know conventional wisdom says to take the under, but if you get one, if Edmonton ties it, well, then the game has to go to 3-2. So you're getting it over. And the other thing that could potentially hurt you is, a couple of empty netters. We'll keep an eye on that. Maybe we'll give you one more bonus live bet here before the end of the night. I got to get to some NFL games. It's week 11 in the NFL. We like to take a look ahead at the early lines. I'm going to run through these games as fast as I can. We'll get in as many as we can rapid fire. Tennessee tomorrow night in Green Bay against the Packers. Anybody who's listened to this show knows I have been against the Packers. I have faded them the entire season. Tonight, I'm going to tell you that probably changes. I would take Green Bay minus the 3. We don't do Page's picks until Friday, but this game will obviously be over by then. Can we call it a bonus Page pick? Can we do that, Belmer? Will the tribunal give me permission? All right, let's give you a bonus Page pick. I've been so bad this year, it doesn't matter anyway. I think I'm like 19-22 on the year, something like that. Green Bay minus 3 tomorrow at home at Lambeau against the Titans. Lock it in. Bonus pick for tomorrow. We're going to do that. All right. Carolina. Oh, God, these big lines scare the bejesus out of me. Carolina plus 13 on the road in Baltimore. And, P.J. Walker's played pretty well this year. That's a ton of points for Baltimore to be giving when they've played a lot of close games. They blow leads. They get complacent in the fourth quarter. I kind of like Carolina plus the 13 right now, if you ask me. Cleveland, well, of course you're asking me. You're listening to the show. Cleveland on the road in Buffalo against the Bills. The Browns are plus 7.5. The line's about a point too high. If it was 6.5, I'd feel a little better. 7.5 kind of scares me. Philadelphia minus 6.5 on the road in Indianapolis. We talked about this game to start the show. 43.5 is the total. I don't know what you're going to get out of Philadelphia. You would think you'd get a big bounce back performance, but right now the Colts are kind of unpredictable with a new head coach, new offensive coordinator coming off the win last week against the Raiders. This one is very intriguing to me. The Jets never beat the Patriots. Bill Belichick always owns the Jets. He is their poppy. I just have to keep with the Patriots. I picked them last time they played the Jets. If you were listening to our show on Page's Picks, it was one of the picks we got right. Patriots minus 3.5 at home against the Jets. I'm sticking with the Patriots. I'll take the Patriots all day. The Commanders coming off the win in Philadelphia against the Eagles, minus 3.5 on the road in Houston against the Texans. Look, Houston's been dreadful, and right now they're looking at the top pick overall in the draft. Is there a letdown for the Commanders coming off the win, having to travel again in back-to-back weeks? I don't know. I probably wouldn't touch it. The total is 40.5. Rams on the road in New Orleans to take on the Saints. Look, the Rams have been a dumpster fire all year long. First, it was the hangover from the Super Bowl. Then it was injuries. And now it's probably a combination of the two. The team is in pretty desperate straits right now. As you look at the standings, they're 3-6, cellar in the NFC West. I probably wouldn't touch it. The Saints are minus 3.5. The total is 38.5, which seems really low. Lions and the Giants in New York. Listen, the Giants have just been amazing ATS all season long. I have no reason to believe that changes. I would take a minus the 3 at home against the Lions. The total is 44.5. I would probably lean towards the over in that game because the Lions aren't very good defensively. And even though the Giants aren't great offensively, I think this could be a week where they open up the offense a little bit. Chicago plus 3 on the road in Atlanta against the Falcons. It's a must-win for Atlanta. They trail the Buccaneers by a game in that NFC South. Chicago playing like it still has something to prove, obviously, with Justin Fields at the helm. 49.5 is the total. I like the over in this game, if anything. The Raiders, well, just trying to figure it out right now. They're on the road in Denver against the Broncos, and if there's ever a good spot here for Denver to potentially win a third straight game, this would be it. Denver, it's obviously been a struggle for them all season long, or I should say to win a fourth game on the season. They lost, obviously, their last game this week. So Denver at home against the Raiders. I think Denver finds a way. Minus 2.5. That might even be one of Page's picks this week. Might have to put that in the 4-pack of picks that we do. Dallas and Minnesota, another great test for the Vikings coming off the win against Buffalo. You talk about Minnesota at plus 1.5 in that game. The total at 47.5. I would probably lean towards the under, if anything, in that game. Dallas coming off the tough loss against Green Bay makes that kind of interesting as well. Bengals and Steelers in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh plus 3.5. Kansas City minus 5.5 against the Chargers in L.A. We won't get into the Monday night game. We'll talk to Brian Kenny on the other side, MLB Network, host of MLB Now, postseason awards, free agency, and more. It's next on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. All right, I got it on my end. Talk to you in a bit. We roll along on this Wednesday edition of the show, SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. We roll along on this Wednesday edition of the show, and it is baseball award season, free agency all starting to come into focus as well. We talk about it all with Brian Kenny, host of MLB Now on MLB Network, our old buddy from our NBC Sports Radio days as well. Brian, let's start with obviously the news of the day, and that is Justin Verlander, Sandy Alcantara, winning the Cy Young Award. Start with
days later. With my teammates and myself, how we're still doing life together and changing lives.
Coach, you mentioned serve, discipline, and believe in things that your players have to do, but also what you have to do. Stepping into a new role, all three of those things apply. How different have your days been now that you're an interim head coach compared to when you were an assistant? Is there more you have to focus on? Is the schedule hectic? Like, what has been the biggest difference now that you're in this new role?
The schedule is a tad bit different. I go from, anybody that know me know that I love the game of football. I just love learning. I'm still working progress here, not a finished product at all. So I love being around the game, and I love being around my players. And Lord, know all I had to deal with was 7 guys. Well, now I got to deal with over 100 players, and I got to deal with staffing. I got to deal with, everything just at my front door. And now I got the media. People want the attention, want to get, my thoughts on things. So that has been the hard part of it. But, man, I thank God for these players. They give me purpose. They have honestly instilled that confidence in me where, from Tank Biggs to Jarquez Harner, DeMar Austin, Sean Jackson, guys that I coach, they actually seen that early on I was so stressed, so nervous, and they like, Coach, just be yourself. The same way you coach us, the same way you, witness to us, Coach, just do it to the team. And I'm like,
we roll along on this Wednesday edition of the show, and it is baseball award season, free agency all starting to come into focus as well. We talk about it all with Brian Kenny, host of MLB Now on MLB Network, our old buddy from our NBC Sports Radio days as well. Brian, let's start with obviously the news of the day, and that is Justin Verlander, Sandy Alcantara, winning the Cy Young Award. Start with Verlander first and foremost, because what he did this year, to me, I don't think it's gotten enough play around the larger sports universe. Coming back from TJ surgery, 18-4, 1.75 ERA, age of 39, part of a World Series team. I mean, it's pretty bonkers what he did.
Yeah, it is amazing. You're right. Anything a sub-2 ERA is pretty historic, actually. Anything that's for a qualified season over 160 innings. I think since I can't think exactly. I think it was divisional era. I think we've seen the 3 lowest ERAs were Pedro in one of his peak seasons. I think it was 2000. Ron Guidry in his epic 1978 season, and this one from Verlander. So, run scoring is still reasonably high. It's an amazing feat. And you're right in that we can look at it now and say, well, of course, it's Justin Verlander and blah, blah, blah. But we didn't know this. Like last year, I really wondered. I was like, wow, $25 million for Verlander. The Astros really believe in him. And they were totally rewarded. Like, he was the total package. He put in a great season. He was a little gassed at the end, but he pitched with a lot of guts to finish it up and win a World Series title.
Yeah, he certainly did. And getting that first World Series win, actually in the postseason, actually getting the W in the win column in the World Series was something that had been missing from his ledger. Not that it matters. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer regardless. Do you think he gets to 300 wins if he stays healthy? Because I get the sense he's hanging around for it.
Oh man, where is he? I'm not a big individual pitcher win fan. Where is he right now?
Oh, I just looked this up. Let me see. Justin Verlander, total wins, career wins. I know he'd probably have to pitch another like 2.5 seasons if I'm not mistaken. 244 is what he's at.
Yeah, that's kind of far. It'd be pretty remarkable. Again, what he win 18 this year, which jumped him up, but I don't know.
He's going to be Brian. He's the last shot. I mean, like in Star Wars, they say he's our last hope. He's our last hope for a 300-win pitcher.
Yeah, no, you're right. It ain't happening. It's not going to be emphasized. Yeah, I look at the way it is now. Unless, look, if Major League Baseball eventually gets to, and I think they'll get to some version of this eventually, of limiting the amount of pitchers you can have on the roster, we could see a swing back. That might be 40 years down the road, right? Where it's like, okay, but I mean, baseball has swung in a lot of different directions. So it doesn't mean we have to go the way we're going. But for the near future, yes, no one else is getting there. But I don't know. I don't judge guys like that. I think there's run prevention. There's sophisticated ways of looking at it. I look at it that if it weren't for the individual pitching win, this would have been his 5th Cy Young. If he's a 5-time Cy Young Award winner, not that it should change our view of him, but it would just kind of change the narrative a little bit. He'd be moving up toward, maybe not equal to, but toward like that big, like high echelon group of Randy Johnson, Greg Maddux, Tom Seaver, way up there. I mean, like going past guys like Jim Palmer and even John Smoltz and guys who we know are great, who are Hall of Famers, but getting into that, higher upper echelon. That's what he's building for right now.
Where do you think he pitches next year?
I don't know. I don't know who's going to be willing, everyone's going to be willing to take a shot at him, of course. But would anybody be willing to go for year 3? Like, I think most clubs would look at him and say, hey, 2 years, 25, maybe 30. Does he get into the range of Max Scherzer? Maybe for 2. But will someone go 3 years at $40 million, kind of that Scherzer range? I don't know who does that. That's dicey. The Mets are kind of, topped off at that level. Even the Dodgers would be taking a chance. I don't know. It's dicey. I really don't know who's going to be thinking along those lines.
Talking with Brian Kenny, does a great job on MLB Network, host of MLB Now, joining us here on the Cash In SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. And listen, if he gets 3 years, 18 wins a year, it does get him close to 300. Just saying, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Speaking of the Astros, while we're on that team, how surprising is it to you to sort of hear about I don't know if dysfunction's the word, but sort of where, all of this landed with James Click leaving and, supposedly the influence of Reggie Jackson and Jeff Bagwell and sort of the state of affairs for a franchise that just won the World Series. And now we're hearing about all these things that were supposedly happening as the season went along that I don't know if most people were privy to.
No doubt. From the outside, it looked like it all made sense. Not only, obviously the Astros under Jeff Luhnow were a very forward-thinking organization, and people can make cracks about the sign stealing and all that, but they're at the vanguard of, advanced game planning and analytics and just the way they study the game. They're at the other team that's up there with them, obviously, are the Rays, and the A's to a certain extent, too. So James Click coming from the Rays, where he'd been for a long period of time, and getting there and just making like small, smart moves, including Justin Verlander. That's not a small move. That's a big move, but they're just kind of relatively quiet. Keeping their own guys, extending Yordan Alvarez, getting a bunch of extra relief pitchers just doing smart things. So it makes no sense to me. Also, Click is not a bombastic sort. Like if I thought James Click, and I've known him for years. I'm not close with him personally, but I've spoken to him, for over a decade. And he was a baseball prospectus writer. He's a buttoned up sort of guy. He also represented the Astros in a buttoned up sort of way, much the way Dusty Baker did coming off the scandal. You had to answer a lot of questions to which you were not responsible for, but you had to answer. I thought James Click did a fantastic job. So I'm at a loss. Especially given that Jim Crane saw the value of the database decisions of Jeff Luhnow, Sig Maydal, Mike Elias, like what his machine built. I'm surprised because Crane also, coming from his background in logistics, and he prizes data and logical decisions. I'm still puzzled as to how that relationship did not work.
Give me a thought on, kind of as it takes us from the Astros to the Yankees, because the offseason obviously for the Yankees is going to be big news no matter what happens one way or the other. There was thought that the Astros wanted Anthony Rizzo. The Yankees brought him back. I paid a lot for him. I mean, 2 years, $20 million, with the possibility of it being even more than that if he comes back for a third year. What does it mean for Judge? And I guess I'll throw a third question in there, even though you're not supposed to ask 2 or 3 questions in one. What do you read into the recent comments from Hal Steinbrenner?
Well, I'll go backwards on this.
Sure.
First of all, the Rizzo signing is big for the Yankees. Their offense, as formidable as it was in the first part of the season, and again, they were the best team in baseball for a while, and not for just a couple of weeks, for a couple of months. But their offense, the way it ended, if they didn't have Rizzo and you're unsure about Judge, they kind of crater. They're not a bad team, obviously. They'd still be a good team, but you've got to be very good to compete in that division. That division, there's no weak spots anymore. So if they didn't get Rizzo, they'd be in trouble. I thought, I was talking to Bo Porter about this today. We did MLB Now together, and we both agreed. I used the word, I said, if the Astros had gotten Rizzo, it would have been a kill shot. Meaning you're depriving the Yankees of him, and you're adding this just veteran, good process, great at bat first baseman. Yeah, he's older, but he's got this. He understands situational hitting. He slugs .480. He's consistent. He works hard. He plays good defense. If you just the Astros would have been perfect for him. I'm stunned that I guess Jim Crane is running things right now. I actually thought Rizzo would do better on the open market. So I'm looking at it saying, 3 for $20. If you have to do a 3-year deal, $60. I'd do that. I think the Yankees did 3 years, $51. I thought they got away light. Even though Rizzo's older, I thought he showed so many good things this year, and being a left-handed bat, that he's kind of a balance of power guy. And again, remember, Jason, this is like in a market where, there's Jose Abreu. He's even older. Yuri Gurriel, he's even older. Like, they're older than Rizzo. So it's not like you got all these first basemen. I feel like Mark Teixeira's out there in his prime. You've got those 4 stud shortstops, and then there's a drop-off to everybody else.
Thoughts on what it means for Judge and the comments from Hal Steinbrenner?
They want him. I think it just comes down to brass tacks. Does Judge want or demand, how much? $40 million? Would he be satisfied with 7 years? Does he need 8 years? Is anybody willing to go there? I think it really comes down to total dollars, and that's a battle the Yankees can win because their payroll is higher than most others. The Mets, Dodgers, and Yankees, they can pay a big salary like that. But I don't know. In Judge's mind, let's say he or his agent say, we want 10. If they go in that way, there are going to be clubs like the Yankees that will drop out. Remember, they didn't go for 10 with Robbie Cano, and they ended up being absolutely correct. And as good as Judge looks now, I'm sorry, as great as Judge looks now. Judge doesn't look good. He looks great. He's fantastic. He's the MVP. But he's, you're talking about going 31, and you want 10 years of that to age 40? What's he going to look like at 40? You've got to think that way. And as much as I love Judge, you have to look at him and say, hey, he's coming off his best year ever. And if he wants 10, I think I'm out. Now, if he wants 7, I'm back in.
I think 8 for $320 is probably where it lands. I think that's ultimately where the number winds up, and I don't see how the Yankees would say no to that. I thought you brought up a great point watching you on the air today, where you said, "Look, they got him so cheap in his young years that you don't mind necessarily overpaying for him, in his 30s and a little bit more on the backside."
I totally believe that, and I said this with even Freddie Freeman last year with the Braves, and many other times. It's a psychological thing. If you know the way the system is built, the club has leverage on a younger player. So no matter who you are, even Derek Jeter, Albert Pujols, you get away with, an undervalued asset for a good 6 years, and you can extend him early. You can keep him beyond that. If you sign a guy to a 10-year deal and he ends up being, just drops off the face of the map for the last 5, you can eat that because psychologically at least, it hurts you when your opportunity cost, but at least wait a second, we got this guy for nothing. We got his prime and we got him on the low end. So now we're overpaying him a bit. It evens out. But if you go on the open market and you buy that guy and he tanks for you for the last 5 years of a 10-year deal, it's all a loss. And that was Pujols with the Angels. It was like they didn't get his years with the Cardinals. Like, Pujols was right to say, hey, wait a second. Everyone's complaining about how much money I make. I wasn't making much money with the Cardinals, and I was the best hitter in baseball. I didn't get any accolades for that, and he'd be right. But the Angels didn't get those years. Those you need to get a guy fresh. So I have no problem when you have a franchise guy, and if it's Judge, if it's Freddie Freeman, if it's Joe Mauer, even remember that epic contract.
Sure,
pay the guy. That's what the business is about. Draft, develop. We have a stud. He's a star. He's a franchise guy. Pay the guy. Oh no, we lost a little money on him. Yeah, on the back end, but you reaped all those rewards on the front end, and you got him cheap.
I got 90 seconds here. One, on the Bryce Harper injury. Are we talking about them having to go make a big move now in free agency that they may not have otherwise made if indeed they can deduce he's lost for all of next year?
Oh no, I don't think they go in thinking that. I think, remember, Shohei Ohtani had Tommy John, but as a hitter you can come back. I think they're looking at him May, maybe June. I don't think they're looking at losing him for the season. And if that's the case, I think they just get aggressive in building the parts around him.
Okay. Buck Showalter wins another Manager of the Year award, his fourth different team as well. Also bonkers for lack of a better word. Is he a Hall of Famer without winning a World Series?
Oh, wow. I didn't even consider that. But yeah, I would say yes. You rarely see a guy totally change franchises. We were talking about the Diamondbacks the other day, how they got off to such a great start as an organization. It's because of Buck Showalter. The Mets were completely turned around this year because of Buck. He was my pick for Manager of the Year too, and brilliant baseball mind, great career. I don't know what he needs. Does he need to get to World Series? Maybe a pennant. I don't think Dusty needed it to get into the Hall of Fame. I don't think Buck needs it, but it makes it easier.
Brian Kenny hosts MLB Now on MLB Network. Catch him tomorrow, and don't forget tomorrow's MVP awards will be announced on MLB Network as well. Thank you, my friend. I know it's a long day for you. Thank you. I always appreciate it.
All right, Jason. Pleasure. Take care.
We'll come back and wrap up the hour next. I mean, it's my knees. It's a lot of it has to do with all the extra weight I'm carrying. I mean, this is as heavy as I've ever been. So the weight is just a killer on my knees. And I played baseball all growing up. I was a catcher, and I was both, no jokes here. I was both a pitcher and a catcher at various times. But yeah, so I gotta say, of all the things I did in baseball, what I actually enjoyed most was being an umpire after I was done playing. Yeah. Yeah. Did some high school, semi-pro. Umpiring's great. I had a great punch out on my strike 3 calls. Oh yeah, I was animated. No, you don't make anything unless you get to the big leagues. Well, I shouldn't say that. Like, if you're a big, like, D1 college umpire, you'll probably do all right. Those guys make, on a per-game basis, they get paid quite a bit. But it's not, full-time money or anything like that. But on a per-game basis, like even college basketball, like on the D1 level, D2 level, those guys make decent money per game. Yeah! Robotic umpires, baby. Let's do it. All right. Let's wrap it up. All right, I have a musical request, Belmer. For the final song of the show, we need to get the Fabulous Thunderbirds Wrap It Up. Okay? It was a big song in the 80s. Wrap it up, I'll take it. But it's got a great little instrumental at the beginning. It'll go well, trust me. All right, fair enough. Hey, have you tried out playfortickets.com yet? What are you waiting for? A chance to go to football's biggest game, all for free, is sitting right there for you. Here's what you do. Go to playfortickets.com right now, and then you click on the Super Pick 7 contest. It's free to sign up. It's free to enter. You get to do it every week of the NFL season, including the playoffs. You got a chance to win, and it couldn't be easier. All you got to do is pick the correct side and totals on Sunday for 7 games. That simple. Use that football expertise, that big brain of yours. Every week, you have a chance to win 2 tickets to the 2023 big game and put $50,000 cash in your pocket. It's free to play, free to sign up. It's at playfortickets.com. Go there now. 21 and over to play. Terms and conditions apply. $50,000 cash, 2 tickets to the big game in Arizona, airfare and hotel. Playfortickets.com. That's going to put the wraps on us for this Wednesday. We're back on Thursday Night Football. Lisa Horn will join us to talk college football and more. I'm Jason Page. We'll see you later. Bye! I will. All right. And you know what you're going to do for the podcast? Cool. Thank you, dude. Have a great night. All right. Be well. Bye-bye. Oh, wrap it up. That's going to do it for us tonight on the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you to Jason Cole for joining us from Outkick.com on the NFL. And thank you to Brian Kenny for talking with us as well from MLB Network, the host of MLB Now. And again, you can catch the MVP selection show on MLB Network on Thursday night. Until then, 10 p.m. Eastern, we'll catch you back here tomorrow night, Thursday Night Football. Lisa Horn will join us to talk college football as well. I'm Jason Page. We'll see you then.